Okay, so let's talk about anxiety. You know, something that I think we all deal with from time to time. It's like that feeling when you start to feel like it's too much. Like
Yeah.
you need to regain control. Well, you've come to the right place because we're diving into a fascinating tool that can help with that. We're talking about journaling.
Journaling.
Yeah, you've shared 50 journal prompts to help with anxiety by Lestallion with us, which is fantastic.
That's just a good one.
But okay, 50 prompts.
It's a lot.
That's a lot to handle.
Yeah.
So instead of getting lost in this sea of prompts, we're going to do what we do best here, a deep dive.
I like it. A deep dive.
We're going to uncover the strategies behind these prompts and see how journaling can become less of a chore and more like a roadmap to understanding and managing anxiety.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's all about understanding. Think of it this way.
Mm-hmm.
We often talk about feeling overwhelmed by anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
But what if we could shift that feeling to one of empowerment?
Ooh, I like that. From overwhelmed to empowered.
Exactly.
And, looking at how Lestallion structures these prompts, it's like they've already kind of started us on that path. They're grouped into these really interesting categories. Understanding your anxiety management tools. They even have one for anxiety in relationships. And looking forward, it's not just like a random list of questions. It's more like a guided exploration, wouldn't you say?
It is a fantastic observation.
Yeah.
And it actually mirrors the techniques used in cognitive behavioral
Oh,
therapy.
wow.
CBT, yeah. A common approach to treating anxiety. See, by breaking anxiety down into these specific areas, you're encouraged to examine your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors in a more organized and insightful way.
Okay.
It's like using a magnifying glass to get a clearer view of what's really going on.
So it's more than just venting in your diary. This is about uncovering those hidden patterns, those aha moments that can lead to real solutions.
Precisely. Let's say you consistently feel anxious on Sunday evenings.
Oh, Sunday
The
scaries.
Sunday scaries. Journaling, prompted by these categories, might help you realize this anxiety stems from work-related stress about the week ahead.
Oh, interesting.
That realization is incredibly powerful because it allows you to start developing coping strategies, specifically targeted at that Sunday night anxiety.
It's like becoming your own anxiety detective. I love it.
Ex-
Okay, so speaking of those aha moments, let's look at some of these prompts. In the Understanding Your Anxiety section, one that really stood out to me was, what time of day is your anxiety the worst? It seems so simple, but when I really think about it, my anxiety definitely spikes in the morning, and I bet it has something to do with that caffeine kick.
You're onto something there. And that's a perfect example of how these prompts can reveal those hidden connections we were just talking about. It's not just about pinning down when your anxiety is at its peak. It's about understanding why.
Okay.
For example, cortisol, a hormone related to stress, is naturally higher in the morning for most people. So if you add caffeine on top of that,
Oh, no.
it's like you're amplifying those physiological responses.
Adding fuel to the fire. No wonder those morning emails make me just want to climb the walls. So it's not just the caffeine, it's the timing, the cortisol, the emails. It's all connected. And this is where journaling, guided by the right questions, helps us see those connections.
Exactly. It's like piecing together a puzzle. And once you start seeing those patterns, you can start making changes to your routine or habits that can really make a difference.
Now, I'm all about practical solutions. So this leads me to another prompt that grabbed my attention. This one's from the Your Anxiety Management Tools section. It asks, describe your safe space. What makes it comforting?
It's interesting, right? Because when we think about managing anxiety, we don't always think about our senses. That's a great point. We often overlook the power of our senses in managing anxiety. This prompt encourages us to tap into something called sensory grounding. It's about intentionally focusing on what we see, hear, smell, touch, and taste to help calm our nervous system. When you describe your safe space in detail, maybe it's the smell of old books in your favorite reading nook or the sound of rain on the windows, you're essentially creating a mental retreat you can access whenever anxiety hits.
Oh, it's like creating your own mental sanctuary. I like that.
Exactly.
And I think this ties in beautifully with a prompt from the anxiety and relationships category that really resonated with me. It asks, what's something you wish others knew about your anxiety? Sometimes explaining what's going on in our heads can feel impossible, right?
Absolutely. Anxiety is often called an invisible illness for a reason. We can't always articulate what we're experiencing, and that can lead to misunderstandings with loved ones. This prompt encourages us to bridge that communication gap. Even if we can't fully explain anxiety, we can share those sensory details or specific situations that trigger it. It's about helping others understand our experience, even if they haven't lived it themselves.
It's about building empathy and connection, which is so important when it comes to managing anxiety. We don't have to do it alone.
Exactly, and that's a perfect example of how these prompts can help us move from simply understanding our anxiety to actively managing it within different areas of our lives.
So we've explored some really powerful prompts here, but how do we take this understanding and turn it into a practical toolkit for managing anxiety? We've got all these insights swirling around. How do we make them actionable? It's like we've been gathering all these ingredients and now it's time to cook up a masterpiece, right? Like
Yeah.
we're talking about turning those journal entries into a recipe for a calmer, more in control you.
I like that analogy. And just like with a recipe, the key is to break it down into manageable steps. That's where the looking forward section of Lestallion's prompts comes in. It's all about taking what we've learned about ourselves, our triggers, our coping mechanisms, those safe spaces we talked about, and using that knowledge to create positive change.
So it's not just about reflecting on the past, it's about designing the future we want, a future with less anxiety and more peace. And it sounds like these prompts can help us map out that journey.
Absolutely. A
Yeah.
great example from that section is the prompt, what is one thing you can do tomorrow to lessen your anxiety? It seems so straightforward.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of it. It encourages you to identify one small, achievable action you can take. Maybe it's practicing deep breathing for 5 minutes before bed or setting aside time for a relaxing activity.
It's about taking those bite-sized actions consistently.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to overhaul our entire lives, we're making small, sustainable changes. I can see how empowering that would feel.
Exactly. And that's what makes journaling such a powerful tool for managing anxiety. It helps shift from feeling overwhelmed to feeling empowered. Remember, you don't have to tackle all 50 prompts at once. Start with one category that resonates with you. Spend a week exploring those prompts. See what insights emerge. Then, when you're ready, move on to another category. It's a journey of self-discovery, and you get to set the pace.
It's like we said at the beginning, it's about creating a personalized toolkit for managing anxiety. These prompts are just the starting point. It's up to you to take that knowledge and use it to create the life you want.
That's what this deep dive has been all about. Remember, you are capable of understanding and managing your anxiety. It might not always be easy, but by taking those small steps, by listening to yourself and exploring those deeper insights, you can move towards a calmer, more fulfilling life.
And you know what? I have a feeling your next journal entry is going to be amazing.